guys, welcome to an all-new episode here of Underground Florida. Today we got the one and the only Trevor Church from fucking Hunt. Dude, how are you, man? Like, how's life? How's this COVID treating you? That's the first thing I want to know.
I'm gonna light up the first joint since I tested positive for COVID right now. And if I can inhale it and blow it out without dying,
right,
I might be good. So let's find out.
And if you can feel the flavor too, because supposedly you won't feel the flavor if you got it very hard. Let's see.
I already tasted it.
All right, and you're good.
It's great. I have no fucking, and I'm fully vaccinated. I have no clue how the fuck I got it, and it's really interesting because I'm gonna start playing shows again next month. It'll be my first show in almost 2 fucking years. Unbelievable. And I've been hit with guidelines from the venues now, and this is gonna be the new thing. I guarantee it. It's something to talk about because like we're gonna be living in a little bit of different type of world. They're gonna be requiring vaccination cards, masks, period, every fucking where that you go.
Right.
And as a fully vaccinated person that has tested positive for COVID at this point in time, it's just another area that I will say that it's almost stupid to do because it's worthless.
Right.
I think everybody is going to get COVID. Everybody. That's basically what needs to. I think it kind of needs to happen. Like they need to get it, and the people that want to be smart about it and have very mild COVID get the vaccine because it's because they say it's so fucking confusing and complex. It's this weird complex machine in a sense because I want to believe that from getting the vaccine it didn't hit me very hard. Like I said, Tuesday we're at what Sunday, and I'm like fully recovered smoking weed.
Right.
I've had colds that lasted fucking 2 months before. I don't know, and I think that everything that they're going to be doing is bullshit. Now, I don't like it. I'm not saying that it's I'm not trying to be controversial, but I think the things that they're enforcing at shows and stuff, I think that's that's stupid because like you're going to get it one way or the other. And I'm one of the very fucking few people, luckily, I got to do a full tour in 2020 in support of my album Mind Freeze.
Right.
So, I mean, I did, like I said, it's like it's shitty that like a lot of bands had to close their, all their plans fucking fell apart, but I was lucky. I got to do something. You put me in fucking Europe where it's snow on the ground everywhere. My body's not used to it. It's like you're in Florida, like, it's like people like us, we go to fucking Europe and shit during winter, and we're like, whoa, man, this is some shit. You guys got ice everywhere, it's frozen, fuck this. I'm going back where the sun is shining, motherfucker.
I've been a fan of your music since 2016, since you did your first EP, Luminous Eyes.
Yeah.
I heard your EP for the first time. I was like, this shit is amazing. Like, this is actual old school heavy metal, and it's exactly what, I think even our dads to this point, they kind of like. They like the new wave of heavy metal. But what I want to learn from you is, how did you started getting your part of saying, I'm going to make an old school British wave of heavy metal band? Like, how did the band Hunt start? Because I know you are the only member and the originator.
I was already doing old school metal. I had a band before Hunt called Beastmaker. And Beastmaker was a little bit more focused on, there was a couple bands that I was really trying to like incorporate into my sound. One of them, Black Sabbath. So I was already really like leaning heavy on British metal. I always have.
Right.
And the other band was Witchfinder General, which would be classified as a new wave of British heavy metal band.
Right.
So I was like really into those two bands, and that was kind of my focus point because they were doing more of a horror, like to me, because like Black Sabbath is a horror movie. That's where they got the name, and I was really following that. I had a huge influence of old movies. My dad got me into old movies when I was really young, Vincent Price namely, and my first ever album that I did really was this demo, and I put Vincent Price's face on it, and it said Beastmaker, and it's dripping blood all over it, and underneath Vincent Price's head it said "You Must Sin." Nice. And that caught the eye of Lee Dorian of Cathedral and owner of Rise Above Records, and he was like, "I really love what you're doing." I was just doing it in my bedroom. I had a band back then, but I was still writing all the music, so everything that was recorded, it was never put together as a band, but we had all started jamming together, and so I look at it as like, yeah, we were a band, but I was doing things kind of how I still do.
Right.
But that really ran its course really quickly. I got a really interesting taste of what it was like to work with a label, and mind you, up until this point, because I'm 40, I was always playing in other people's bands, trying to influence them with my influences and trying to not really be the main guy. I always kind of, maybe I lacked the confidence of being a front man. I just never was. I was always just the guitar player, but I always played multiple instruments. I always sang, spitting out to all my friends. I was like, I want to do this like Black Sabbath style metal. There wasn't really that many bands really doing it at the time, and also thrash metal, because I'm from California, and that shit just runs heavy. It's like, how could you not be influenced by Metallica and Megadeth and Exodus and all the stuff that happened here? You want to do thrash. So I was like, I don't give a fuck. It's either got to go Sabbath or it has to be thrash. And so Beastmaker started off thrash. I finally convinced a few people, like, all right, be in my band, we're gonna do thrash metal. And I could not get people at our shows, and I think we were good. Because if you listen to my music, you know, it's like I could put together music, any genre. I don't care what genre it is. I'll be able to put it together somehow. And I thought I had a decent thrash metal thing going on, and I was hella skating at that time. But just fast forward to Beastmaker, I started working with this label, Rise Above. I did a couple albums, and it put me on the map, and that really helped, because now I have the press. There's heavy metal magazines and stuff are reviewing my records. They're doing interviews with me, and there's an eye on me, right? You know, it's like, now, okay, I'm a person of some sort of significance. I wouldn't say I was like super significant, but you know, like, people were way more willing to open the door for me now. You know, the bands that I really love: Def Leppard, Angel Witch, Diamond Head, you know, Witchfinder General, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, and then all the other stuff, the Metallica, Megadeth, and even like a lot of, like, Blue Oyster Cult was one of my favorite bands for a long time. Love classic rock, period, and anything classic rock I like, basically. There is not one band that doesn't have something I like from that whole era. I mean, there's something out there for me in every band of the 70s. But you know, it kind of started, you know, I was like, this is getting old, this doom shit. I can't fucking keep playing this slow, because there's that part of me, like I said, in the initial part, I was playing thrash metal.
Exactly.
I was like, where do I find the fucking balance? And I was just fucking around one day, and I was like, all right, I pigeonholed myself, can't get out of this. And my band didn't want to do anything fast. They wanted to stay doom metal. And I was like, I'm just going to start writing some shit on the side, and there's going to be no, like, I could write whatever I want. I'm just going to write songs, and they're going to be whatever style they're going to be. And that's how, and the first song that I wrote was Luminous Eyes. And the guy that was doing all of my artwork at the time, I think by that time, but when I talked to him, his name's Paul Abrin, and he runs Bronca Studio in Barcelona. He's an art studio. So I had those 2 songs, Luminous Eyes and Fire Burns.
Right.
And I said, hey man, I got these 2 songs, and I was like, I'm hella digging them. I'm digging the direction of it. What do you think? And I sent it to him, and he goes, what is this called? And I was like, I'm thinking of calling it Haunt. 30 minutes later, I had the logo and the album cover. He's like, hurry up and finish the rest of this shit, and we're put out the EP. He's like, I have a feeling this is the band for you. This is your band. This is going to be the band that takes you to the next level. And he wasn't wrong. I finished it. It took me a while to finish up the EP because Beastmaker had other arrangements. We just did a tour with Zakk Wylde throughout the United States, and then we had a full European tour to do. And so I had released it when I was in Europe, just digitally. And Fenriz from Dark Throne put it up as one of the best, like his album of the week. And I just saw this influx of just massive downloads. I was just like, holy shit. And I've never made any money playing music up at that point. And all of a sudden I got like thousands of dollars in my bank. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I'm not even on a label. I'm like, I just threw this shit on Bandcamp, and this dude put it on his blog, and like, boom. Like, and then the next thing you know, my inbox is just flooded. Everybody wanted to sign me. I was getting offers. So that's how Haunt was born. And I've always liked, maybe it's because British heavy metal, maybe because that's where it kind of started. Maybe I just like that style a little bit better because it's the original place. In America, like, to me, American heavy metal is like in the late 70s was realistically Ozzy, who was already, I mean, not even that, I guess he was 80s. Like, it's hard to think of a band in that that late 70s, like 79, 81. There just wasn't really a big American presence.
Right.
Metallica. That's the only one I can really think of that was like, all right, we're bigger and badder than all you motherfuckers. That's really what happened. I mean, like, seriously, if you look at Metallica, you're just like, fuck, dude, you guys took over the world. Like, that's global domination.
You said something completely important, which leads up to this next question. I'm glad you did state it. Is the fact of, at your young days, you did implemented everything by yourself. You did every single thing based upon songwriting. You did all the material. You composed your own music. And right now in this generation, we're seeing young kids who are trying to do the same thing with that, that same element. They're trying to work on their own band. They're trying to implement on their own sound because they're kids at the age of 15, 16, even 17-year-olds that doesn't have a job yet, but they're trying to do the impossible by themselves. So my question to you is, how important it is to support, the new wave of kids trying to grow into becoming the next big thing in metal scene, in the underground metal scene, and why do you think they should keep up working hard on doing things on their own before they ever do it in a further future professionally?
I'm a bit, I'm a dad. I actually helped the band get their start recently. This band Saber, Saber, out of LA, and I ended up drumming on their record. And I really have been helping them get their little thing going. And not little thing, but I'm stoned now, so some of the words I'm saying are probably going to be ridiculous. They're a band. I didn't mean that, Stevie and fellas. Not your little thing. But I help, it's very important to, support younger, if you know somebody, you have a friend or you got a friend's kid, they're 15, they're trying to do it, be like, my advice would just always be, write as many songs as you can. Like, don't go, I'm just going to write 5, like, no, write a song all the time. Don't just work on one, write 50. Write 50 different genres. It's like, when you're in school and you're learning, are you only learning one subject? No. Learn multiple subjects and learn multiple instruments too, because I think we're going to see an era, you know, where, especially when we were talking earlier with these vaccination card things and these things and living in America, it's going to be a weird fucking ride for the next 10 years. It's really important for young people to take up an instrument, right? I encourage it heavily. I try to make it inspiring for people to be like, you know what? You don't need a band.
Right.
You can write music without a band. Super important that young kids keep composing songs. You want to be the songwriter. You will never make any money if you're not.
Right.
And also, I mean, it's hard to say this, but I'm like, you know, it's like, try to be the main person. Don't try to be, don't be me and be young and go, I'm going to find that dude that, you know, has it, and then I'm going to influence him to like what I like and start doing like what I like.
Right.
Because it just doesn't always work out, you know? So it's better to have a clear representation of what you want to do. And there's a lot of bands. I mean, the internet has sparked. I mean, I remember I'd never heard. Did I answer that good enough? Because I have a good segue. I have a good segue right now. I have a good segue topic. The term new wave of traditional heavy metal, which is tattooed to Enforcer, it's tattooed to Skullfist, and it's tattooed to Haunt at this point. I'd never heard the term before when I started Haunt. I had heard of Cauldron, I had heard of Enforcer.
Yeah.
And I had heard Skullfist. I'd never heard that term before.
Right.
And by the time I got up and running, and somebody did an interview on me, it was early on, it was like before Burst in Flame came out, and somebody asked me like, what do you think about the new wave of traditional heavy metal? And I'm like, what? So I was like, what's the new wave of traditional heavy metal? And then when they named the bands, I was like, oh yeah, those are great bands. I didn't realize there was like a new way to express it. I didn't realize there's a genre name to it. And honestly, even though I don't like being pigeonholed and I don't like titles that much because I like to be able to do whatever I want to do, I'm super thankful and grateful for bands like Enforcer and Cauldron for doing what they did and bring some light to it, because when I came out, now there's this genre that is invented, and I'm one of the first. I'm right up there. There's like 10 bands.
This is something why I told you this, because, and I'm really am much more happier that you answered that in the best way, because ever since I was listening to your EP, I began to actually felt a lot more confident on telling you this, because as a person myself, I suffer from depression, and I always tell people that I use metal music to fight against my depression, because it is a way to actually listen to music that you can, relate to it and say, oh shit, this musician, this band, or this songwriter, he went through the same thing as I went through. And this is what he's trying to say. Say, hey, I went through this, I did this, and this is the result of what I did after all of this. So my question to you is, how important for you, or what do you think of the term that us as metalheads, we use metal music to fight against depression and identify our favorite, bands to be our saviors from doing the most dreadful things that could end our lives completely?
I think that everybody that kind of listens to heavy metal kind of has some darkness inside of them. Something about it I just think that that's how it goes. And for me, if I didn't have heavy metal music, I really wouldn't want to live. I don't even know if you probably, after hearing what you just said, you probably would be in the same area.
Yep.
Music is life to me. And I think heavy metal fans are way more in tune to bands than pop culture is. It's like there's a deeper element to heavy metal, and the heavy metal music, the lyric, the it's deep. I swear it's super crazy you said that, because without playing shows and stuff, I'm not clinically depressed, but there's been a dark cloud looming over me, and my mood is shifting constantly because of how it's made me feel. Right. And every time I come back in here and I play and I start writing a song, I feel great. That's probably why I fucking put out 3 albums last year, is because I had nothing. I needed it. Just like you need it, just like everybody else that's watching this needs their fucking metal injection. It just takes you to the right place. Maybe it's because it's a little bit more gnarly. When I think of bands of mainstream culture and stuff, I think about bands like The Strokes. Right. I think about bands like The Killers. Think about bands like the Foo Fighters. Their music sometimes is just a little too happy and too polished, and doesn't really make me feel all that much. And then I get to some metal or some heavy rock music, and they're singing about stuff that I like, and all of a sudden I'm in a different place, emotionally, mentally, physically even. And it's important for music to move you. That's all I can say about that. I think if you look at my music and you go to the album Mind Freeze, and a lot of people think that that's I'm not going to get any better than Mind Freeze, I've read this. Right. But I disagree, because I disagree with that statement, because I still don't think I've actually peaked yet as a musician. If you look at, there's some really depressing topics on there, and Mind Freeze is about depression and what it does to people. And again, I'm not clinically depressed, so I don't suffer from any bipolar disorders. I definitely, if anything, I suffer from anger more than anything. I'm more of you wouldn't know that looking at me, but my mom would always tell me, you need anger management, because I would just get really mad about things. That's my way of dealing with life, is just anger. And it sucks. It's hard to so that's kind of my depression area. It's different than everybody else's, but I could put it in the same area, because there's something that triggers that anger, and it's usually something's wrong. Have you been to a small show yet?
Oh yeah, I've been to, here in Florida, I'm not gonna lie to you, here in Florida, every single bar and every single venue says, to hell with the fucking coronavirus, we're just gonna get back on our feet. I've seen, the last show I went to see was Gruesome, and I had the chance to talk to Matt Harvey, and we got so much along that we actually drank a beer next to my car, and we were just talking about music. We're just talking about how the coronavirus was affecting everybody. Even, he's from California. He was telling me about how...
I know Matt. He's a buddy. He's great. He's a good dude.
The most humble human being I've ever met in my entire goddamn life. That dude, you just give him a beer and he will talk to you about anything without even thinking of it or hesitating. But to be honest with you, that show made me said, this is not going to end here. This is going to continue. And that's something that I want to talk to you about. I am pretty sure you are aware of Florida for being the capital of death metal. This is where death metal was born, in a way. But
it was all recorded there too. It was recorded. The classics were recorded there, even Sepultura.
Yeah. So something that I really do. I'm not sure if you had the chance to check out one of the interviews I've done. But if you do, then I'm pretty sure you're going to be excited for this question, because I always tell this to every musician that I've interviewed, and you're going to have fun. But please, be honest.
Okay.
And that is, for your opinion, which is the first death metal record that started it all? Was it Scream Bloody Gore by Death or Possess Seven Churches?
Death, obvious. For me, it will always be Chuck Schuldiner, because that was the first time I had ever heard of death metal, was the band Death, and then the other band that was synonymous to that was Cannibal Corpse. And that was my introduction to that style of music. Right. And then came Deicide and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, I definitely had a fair share of love for the Florida death metal music in the 90s, for sure. In fact, it was some of the better metal that was around. Like I was telling you, it was like stale, but I remember when I heard Cannibal Corpse, I was like, fuck, I like this a lot. And then, you listen to Death, Scream Bloody Gore. I mean, it's hard not even to, still to this day, I like Death, and I don't even like death metal that much.
Right.
But I like those bands that were the beginning bands. Yeah, Florida's a trippy place on that whole light, because it's so crazy that I've been to Florida quite a few times, and I'm like, man, such aggressive music comes from where everybody goes to retire. I will be in Florida in the summer of 2022.
Yes,
but
thank you.
But only Tampa.
Oh, dude, come on.
I'll see. The thing about it is, the thing that sucks is that this tour is kind of going from top
to bottom,
all the way down, all the way back up, and I have to come all the way back to California. And sadly for me, I'm not really a road dog, and I'm already having so much anxiety about being away from my son that it makes me want to throw up. Giving everybody the truth about it all, it's like, you have to know if you listen to the end of Beautiful Distraction, my son is at the very end. And it was like some of the first, when he started like using his voice, he doesn't say words. But I just finished this new one, and he said, and it's just like, I don't know, dude. I'm just so, we have such a strong connection. My dad was a fucking great dad, and he stopped his career because of me. And I'm not stopping mine, really. He always played music, but he always said it was more important to be a dad than to be a musician. He didn't like being on the road. And I got to do some touring when my son was just born, and just even being gone then, and he didn't even know that I was gone. I had guilt. Everybody watching, follow me on Instagram, Haunt the Nation. Also, Facebook is Haunt the Nation.
Instagram,
really easy to remember. And there is a fan club page on Facebook. If you go to my Facebook page, there's some. If you scroll down through some of the posts, you'll see that it's not like a paid thing. It's just a group of people that are into into haunt, and we share way more stuff in this haunt. It's become a community of people of just sharing their music, sharing their art. Because with me, I'm interactive with everybody, so I'm part of it every day. I go on there and interact with everybody. If you're interested in something like that, please come to the fan club page and find us there. You'll find a cool community of musicians that I have rules of things. It's like, well, even though I don't like rules, but I'm like, hey, post what you want, no naysayers.
Yep.
Keep your fucking, that's the only rule. Keep your gatekeeping shit to yourself. Because not everybody likes the same shit. Anyway, man, have a good one. Thank you for the interview. And thank you for those for watching. And I'll see you guys next time.
That's right. So be sure to actually listen to Beautiful Distraction. Follow your band. Support your local scene. Support the new wave of old school British heavy metal. Support Haunt as well, my boy Trevor. Trevor, thank you so much, man. Catch you soon in Tampa, all right?
Later, man. Have a great one. Good talking to you.
Here's to you.